I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike and I'm 38. I've been with my wife Emily for about 7 years now. We met in college and everything seemed perfect at first. Fun, easy, lots of laughter. She was the one I wanted to settle down with, the person I could see myself growing old with. But life isn't perfect, and things started to shift when I got diagnosed with cancer about a year ago. At first, I thought Emily would be my rock. She said she'd be there for me, that she'd support me through the chemo, surgeries, all of it. But as the months dragged on, I started noticing strange things. Little things. Missed calls, secretive text messages, her staying out late more often. She'd brush it off, call me paranoid, accuse me of being overly sensitive because I was sick. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to hold on to the good memories, the trust we built, but something about her changed. She became bitchy, dismissive, constantly making snide comments if I asked about her whereabouts or who she was talking to. One night I was lying in bed, exhausted from a long chemo session, when I noticed her phone on the nightstand. Normally I wouldn't look, but something made me glance at it. I saw a message notification. It was from a number I didn't recognize. Just a few words, but enough to make my stomach drop. "Can't wait to see you tonight. I miss you so much." No name, no context, just that one line. I froze. My heart started pounding. I looked closer and saw more messages, all from the same number, flirty, intimate, clearly not innocent. I didn't plan to snoop, I swear, but I couldn't help myself. I scrolled through her messages, and what I saw made me feel like I'd been hit by a truck. She was planning secret meetups, calling him her favorite, saying she loved sneaking around. The guy was someone I knew, someone I thought was just a friend of ours, but it was obvious he wasn't just a friend. They'd been sleeping together, I bet, and she'd been lying to my face the entire time. I confronted her the next day. I was numb, angry, broken all at once. She looked me in the eyes and lied through her teeth. Said it was just sex, that she only did it because I was sick and she was lonely. That she never loved him, that he was just a rebound. She called me paranoid, said I was imagining things, that I was overreacting because I was vulnerable. But I knew the truth. It's hard to explain, but it's like the ground shifted beneath my feet that day. Nothing felt real anymore. Everything I believed about us, about her, crumbled in that moment. After that confrontation, everything changed. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and honestly, I felt like I was walking around in a fog. The betrayal cut deep, worse than I'd ever imagined. It wasn't just about the sex. It was the lying, the sneaking around, the fact that she thought she could get away with it. I kept replaying the conversations I'd seen, the moments I missed because I was too sick or exhausted to pay attention. Turns out Emily had been cheating on me for months, probably even before I got sick, but I was just too blind to see it. That night, I decided I needed to get some answers. I started digging through her phone more carefully, going through her social media, her emails, even her private messages. I needed to know exactly how long this had been going on, who else knew, and what her game was. It wasn't just one guy, it was a whole web. But the main one, the guy she'd been meeting secretly, his name was Jake. I found messages where she called him her soul mate, her escape, and she even told him she was done with me, said she was tired of pretending everything was fine. The worst part: she'd been telling him she hated her life, hated me, and wanted out. I remember feeling so many things: anger boiling inside me, heartbreak that I'd been so stupid, and this gnawing sense of betrayal that just wouldn't let up. I couldn't believe she had been lying whenever I asked how she was feeling or what she was doing. All those nights I was sick and she was out with him, probably screwing around. The thought made me sick. I was supposed to be fighting cancer, fighting for my life, and here she was, playing with my trust like a game. That's when I knew. I had to make a choice. I couldn't keep living like this, pretending everything was okay. I wanted to confront her again, but this time I was ready. I needed her to tell me the truth straight up, no more lies, no more bullshit. I planned to lay everything out, her messages, her deception, everything I'd uncovered. I didn't want to be the fool anymore. I needed to hear her real explanation, even if I already knew what it was going to be. I just couldn't believe how far she'd gone, how much she'd hurt me, right in the middle of my battle with cancer. That realization hit hard. She'd betrayed me not just as a wife, but when I was at my weakest. The thought of her with Jake, her lies, her manipulation, it all made my blood boil. The confrontation finally happened a few days later. I called her into the living room, told her I knew everything, that her little secret was out in the open. Her face twisted into a mix of anger and defiance. I've never seen her look so bitchy before. She spat out, "You're overreacting, Mike. It's just sex. It doesn't mean anything. You're sick. You're paranoid, and honestly, I don't have to explain myself to you." But I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "It's not just about the sex. It's about the lies, the betrayal. How long has this been going on? Who else knew?" She threw her head back and rolled her eyes, trying to dismiss me. "You really think I'd cheat on you with your best friend? That's ridiculous. You're sick, you're emotional, and you're just trying to control everything." I was so furious I could barely speak. How could she lie so effortlessly? I told her I had proof, that I'd seen her messages and that I wasn't going to pretend this was okay. Her face flushes and she starts crying, but it's not the kind of tears that show remorse. It's the tears of someone who thinks she's still in control. She kept lying, telling me she made a mistake, that she was lonely, that she never loved Jake, just needed an escape. She accused me of treating her like dirt, said I never paid enough attention to her because I was sick. She's bitchy, manipulative, trying to spin story her way like I was the villain, but I saw through it. I felt so betrayed, so crushed. I couldn't believe the woman I loved, the woman I married, was capable of this. My mind kept racing. How long has she been cheating? Was it before I was sick? Was she planning to leave? All these questions swirled around, but I knew one thing: I was done. I couldn't stay with her, not after this. After the confrontation, I felt empty. For days, I just sat in silence, trying to process what had happened. I kept asking myself how I missed the signs, how I didn't see her true colors sooner. I thought about what this meant for my future, for my health, for everything I'd built with her. I was angry, devastated, and honestly, I felt a deep sadness that I couldn't shake. I had trusted her with everything, my health, my heart, and she had thrown it all away for some secret sex with Jake. The pain of it was staggering. I knew I had to decide what to do next, but right then, I just felt numb. Like everything I believed in had been shattered in one awful moment. The days that followed were the hardest of my life. I kept replaying everything: the stolen moments, her lies, the way she looked at me with that bitchy smirk when I confronted her. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind, so naive. I had always thought we had something real, something worth fighting for. Now I saw that I'd been living a lie, and the truth hit me like a punch to the gut every time I thought about the betrayal. I started planning my next move. I knew I needed to get out of that house, clear my head, and figure out what I really wanted. But more than anything, I wanted revenge. Not in a childish way, more like I wanted her to feel what she'd done to me. I wanted her to see the pain she caused. I wanted her to realize that you can't just cheat and lie your way out of it. I wasn't going to be some doormat she trampled over. I decided I'd play her game back on her, but smarter. I'd take control. I started gathering evidence, screenshots of her messages, her secret emails, everything that proved she'd been unfaithful. I even hired a private investigator to confirm her meetings with Jake, just to make sure I had all my bases covered. I wanted her to understand that I wasn't just some emotional wreck. I was serious about exposing her. I also knew I had to be careful, to keep my anger in check, because I wasn't about to blow everything up and regret it later. I was planning my revenge meticulously, step by step. Meanwhile, I kept thinking about how she had lied so effortlessly, how she'd betrayed me when I was at my most vulnerable. That bitchy attitude she threw around, trying to dismiss me as paranoid, only made me angrier. I wanted her to see that I wasn't some fool, that I could fight back with facts, with evidence, with dignity. I'd show her that her lies couldn't hide the truth forever. And when the moment was right, I'd make her regret what she'd done. I knew I had to be smart about it, but inside, the fire was burning to make her pay for what she'd done to me, for breaking my trust and my heart. The plan started to take shape. I knew I couldn't just hit her with the evidence cold. She'd deny everything, spin some new lie, and I'd be right back where I started. So I waited, biding my time, making sure I had everything airtight. I wanted to catch her off guard, make her realize that I wasn't just a helpless guy with cancer. I was a man who could fight back with everything I had. One night, I arranged for a friend to come over and act as a witness. I wanted her to see that I wasn't just bluffing. I also set up a hidden camera in my living room, just in case. When she came home late that night, I confronted her again, this time with the evidence laid out on my laptop. Her face paled at the sight of the screenshots, the messages, the emails. She tried to lie, of course, said it was all a misunderstanding, that she loved me, that Jake was just a mistake. But I didn't buy it. I showed her the proofs, the times she'd texted him, the plans they'd made. Her bitchy attitude cracked and her facade of control started to crumble. She started crying, throwing tantrums, trying to manipulate me, saying she was sorry, that she'd do anything to fix it, that she still loved me. But I looked at her and saw nothing but contempt. She had lied, cheated, and manipulated her way through my illness. I felt a mixture of rage, heartbreak, and deep disappointment. I told her it was over, that I couldn't trust her anymore, that she'd crossed a line I'd never be able to forgive. That's when I decided I'd have to end things for good. The next step was telling her that I'd file for divorce. I wanted her to see that her actions had consequences. I also made it clear that I'd be fighting for every penny, every asset, and I'd make sure she paid for the pain she caused. I knew this was just the beginning of a long battle, but I wasn't backing down. I wanted her to understand. Betrayal like hers doesn't just go away with a fake apology. It leaves scars, and I planned to make sure she carried hers forever. I wasn't going to be that guy who just took it. She'd see that her lies and her bitchy attitude had finally caught up to her. Looking back now, I realized the worst part wasn't even the betrayal itself, but how. It changed me. I thought I knew Emily, thought we had something real. Turns out she was just playing a role, a pretty face hiding a manipulative, selfish woman who cared about herself more than anyone else. The pain of discovering her lies, seeing her try to spin her way out of it, it all left me feeling hollow. I lost trust in her, but I also lost some part of myself that believed in love and loyalty. The divorce went through, and I moved out shortly after. I needed space to breathe, to heal, and to rebuild what was left of me. I stayed off social media, avoided anything that reminded me of her, and slowly started piecing my life back together. It was brutal, but it was also a wake-up call. I learned that people can surprise you, sometimes in the worst ways, and that trust, once broken, is nearly impossible to repair. Now I focus on myself. I went through the hardest battle of my life, cancer, and I thought that was the worst I'd face. Turns out the real fight was with her, with the betrayal, and with learning to trust again. I've come out stronger because of it, though. I'll admit I carry scars. I tell myself that I deserve better, that I don't need someone who lies and cheats to feel complete. If there's one thing I want anyone reading this to take away, it's this: trust is fragile. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Don't ignore the signs, don't make excuses. And if you get hit with betrayal like this, don't let it define you. Use it to grow, to learn, to be more cautious, but never lose faith in yourself. Because at the end of the day, what matters most is that you stand up, you fight, and you remember your worth, even if the people you loved most turn out to be the ones who hurt you the deepest.